All right, now, Godfrey, the reason the story you read this morning on Menzgold is annoying me is that, I feel like we are not serious.
Why?
You see, we are in August 2023.
Yeah.
August 2018, I think, was when we began the financial sector cleanup. Started with the revocation of the license of 2 banks. All right? So there was UT Bank and Capital Bank, followed by the revocation of the license of 5 other banks. So in total, 7 banks had their license revoked. Then you had discount houses also having their license revoked, about 7 of them. And then you have savings and loans companies in the 20s, license revoked. Then you have fund management companies also license revoked. Goldfields, what do you call it? Black Shield, which is Indom's company being the largest. And then you have about 350 microfinance also closed. So in total, you had about 500 companies that were closed in that period. Then in the middle of all that, there was Menzgold, which was neither fully regulated by the Bank of Ghana nor the SEC. So if you look at the literature in terms of communication, SEC will write to them to stop something. They will say, you are not the one who regulates us. We are not doing investment. BOG will say, you are taking deposit. They will say, we are not. Like, there were all kinds of lacunas they were using to exist. Cut a long story short, the whole Menzgold thing collapsed, right? People had taken money from banks and gone to give it to gold. They said they wanted to buy a room, Telum or something. Okay. Now, the reckoning began. Some of the people who oversaw the bank collapses were charged with different things. So Capital Bank, Atuesian, it was in court. He was convicted. He's paying. UT is in court. Unibank is in court. Right? Fine. Menzgold is also in court. Okay. Now, what is my problem? Almost every month, we'll see a story online about Menzgold making an offer to customers. And the media will publish it. Social media particularly. They will say, oh, pay this amount, we'll do this. We are doing registration. We are paying this. People should come and do this and that. Now, the companies that were properly regulated, like Black Shield, Gold Coast and Co., the government has paid some of the people who lost their monies in banks. So all the people whose money were in the banks, the banks that took over paid them. So CBG and GCB catered for those guys. All right. Now the main problem has been Gold Coast, because they are the largest of the deposit. They call them the fund management companies. A lot of the smaller ones, people were paid. But Black Shield had at least 3,500 employees. There were at least 75,000 claims made by customers of Black Shield, right? Which the SEC say were paid. Then another 61,000 claims made which have not yet been paid. So if you put the claims together, it's about 130,000, 140,000 claims. Now a claim is basically one person saying, I made a deposit with an institution, and because the institution's license was revoked, they've not paid me back, so they owe me. So you can say they have 140,000 claims. 140,000 claims can roughly equate to 1 claim per person, although there could be more than 1 claim per person, right? So let's assume, so you have a company that has 3,500 employees, another 1,200 field workers. So you can say 5,000 workers. The company is gone down. You have about 140,000 customers who originally the claims they made for the first batch was about 750 million cedis. So if you put it together, we are talking about 1.2 billion or more. All right. Last week, customers of the company former staff wrote and said the government should reinstate the license of the bank. It's neither here nor there. My point is that people have suffered because of the approach the government used in dealing with this. Okay. And these are even people who, and I'm saying that the companies like Black Shield were properly licensed and certified. Even they have been measured in the way they communicate to their customers following the meltdown. So Indom is in court. You don't see them issuing statements to their staff or their customers arbitrarily promising them this or the other. Now let's come to Menzgold. Menzgold, as far as I know, was not properly licensed to do what it was doing. Okay?
Well, the BOG said as much, and the other institutions
Yes.
regulating
Now,
the space said so.
The man who started the company is standing trial for 61 counts of abetment, defrauding by false pretense, carrying on deposit-taking business without a license, unlawful deposit-taking and money laundering. Right? Of course, he has denied the charges. And this case started in 2019. In July 2019, he was admitted to bail to the tune of 1 billion cedis with 5 sureties. Almost every 2 months, we see some statement or some press release or something purportedly coming from the company promising something. And I'm saying to myself, one, the person in charge of the company has been declared persona non grata by the state. That's why there's a charge. That's why it's a criminal trial. Now, people who were running licensed banks who were involved in these murky things have been proscribed from engaging in any financial activity or running a financial institution for a number of years. Remember the Dufour guy, the guy who was running Beige, almost all of them based on the government's approach. Okay, so why is Menzgold even issuing statement promising things to his customers? That's question number one. Because if somebody who used to run a legitimate bank, which bank went under, and his case is in court, and the person is hoping to win, has been proscribed by the state from occupying any position in the finance of our country for a number of years, why is Menzgold still issuing statements on their letterhead telling people to come and pay something? That's question number one. Question number two. This case, which started in 2019, 61 counts of abatement of crime, abatement, defrauding by false pretense, carrying out deposit, all these things. Sky, the matter has been adjourned, if I am mistaken, correct me.
36 times.
36 times.
Next appearance is September.
36 times. Let me give you some highlights. In April this year, the Accra Circuit Court adjourned to June 8th the case of Nana Appiah Mensah, aka NAM1, Chief Executive of Menzgold, accused of duping customers of their deposits to the tune of 1.6 billion cedis. This is what he's been accused of by the state. Appearing before the substantive judge, Mrs. Evelyn Asamoah adjourned the matter after the police had told the court that they were still waiting for the Attorney General's advice. Okay? June 8, 2023, the day they went to court after April, an Accra Circuit Court has adjourned the case of Nana Appiah Mensah, aka NAM1, CEO of Menzgold, for the 35th time. For the 35th time, he is accused of duping customers of their deposits of over 1.6 billion. Assistant Superintendent of Police ASP Emmanuel Haliga told the court, presided over by Mrs. Evelyn Asamoah, that the prosecution was still waiting for the Attorney General's advice. July 26, 2023, last month, an Accra Circuit Court has again been compelled to adjourn the case of the embattled Menzgold Chief Executive Nana Appiah Mensah. Mr. Mensah, probably known as NAM1, has been in and out of courtroom since July 2019. ASP Emmanuel Haliga, standing before the substantive prosecutor, informed the court that the prosecution still awaits the Attorney General's advice. The case has been adjourned to September 20, 2023. 1.6 billion cedis of people's money he is alleged to have taken. So my first problem is the fact that they keep issuing statements and confusing people, and the statements are generating laughter on social media, which as a serious country we should not be tolerating. Number two, Attorney General. 2019 July is 4 years ago. You have not been able to advise the state, the police prosecutors, you the agent, you've not been able to advise the police prosecution on a matter of massive public interest that captured media attention for more than 3 years, where people lost money, lost lives, committed suicide because a company's business model was not properly regulated by the state that failed it.
Allegedly.
If you read the correspondence between the SEC and the BOG, there was some laxity.
No, I agree. I'm talking about the alleged suicide.
Fine. So the state was not able to protect people from this company. People have lost money. The state has taken the person to court. And for 4 years, the Attorney General has not been able to send advice for the prosecution to do what it is doing. Yet, there is somebody we found 1 million in the person's house. The person has gone to court that somebody has stolen my money. The state finds time through the Attorney General to issue advice on this case. Which case the OSP has even decided that they are going to investigate the person whose money was lost because they believe that maybe something untoward should have happened. Now, is the AG telling us that the advice for the prosecutors in the NAM case is so specialized that they need 4 years to put that advice together? Whereas in the Citi case, suo motu, you taught me that word, on their own, without invitation, they went to suggest that they want to advise. Now, you have a case in 2019 involving hundreds of thousands of people. The risk that Menzgold posed to the financial sector was a systemic risk. In fact, some people believe that a lot of the banks that suffered, monies taken from there were put into Menzgold. It was an allegation. So we haven't even finished unraveling the pain of that company's operations to the whole economy. And we have been billed over 20 billion cedis to pay for the financial sector crisis of our money, of which one person is accused of taking 1.2 billion of people's monies. Fine. So what is the Attorney General telling us? That between July 2019 and August 2023, they've not been able to advise the prosecution on how to proceed on this case. Yet they have time to put Citi matter and advice, that they have the impetus to have a daily trial for Jachi Kwesi. What are you telling me? What are you saying? In the matter of the Capital Bank, yes, they finished. Fine. The guy who was accused has admitted he was convicted. He's supposed to pay. He's not been able to pay. At least there's closure. And I'm saying that my argument is that these guys were even properly licensed. Do you get me? These guys were even properly, legitimately licensed. They were proper going concern. This organization, from the SEC and the BOG, we are not even sure who was derelict in their matter. Yet every week, take the anchor today, and the thing, and when government read the story, and people were laughing. That they said, yeah. What did they even say? Sky, if we want democracy to work, institutions must work. And for institutions to work, we must apply the law with consistency. And we must also be fair to the people. You cannot tell me that in 4 years, you cannot send an advice to prosecution on a matter of such a high level profile. And then the principal people involved are still issuing statements confusing the public. How do you want us to believe that you are doing the work to the glory of God? These are the facts. What is the AG going to tell the president about the NAM case? That for 4 years, is it that the case is so difficult that they don't have the legal expertise? Is it that the matter has been put under the radar? Is it how complex? Because the SEC and the BOG were very clear in the statement they issued to us. Even in the midst of the crisis, they said, we told you guys that this guy was not nice to do what he was doing. So the government can say we were at them. At least from an institutional perspective, the SEC and the BOG both raised issue with the model operandi of the company. So it's not as if even like the government is in some complication where the BOG sort of licensed the guy, and then do you understand? The BOG has been strident in saying that this thing you are doing, you don't have the right to do it, which is why you've given the guy 61 counts. So what are you saying to me that from July 2019 to August 2023, you are still waiting 36 adjournments? No. This is completely unacceptable. And I think that the AG's department must wake up. It's an indictment on the rule of law. Now, the rules of justice grind slowly. That's true. But I argue that there are more complicated cases. Right? Mm-hmm. There are more complicated cases. There's Unibank, and all these cases are progressing at different levels. So to have a case which arguably affected so many more people, and where the principals have the what's the word to use, to keep the boldness to keep sending messages confusing people every day, that people should pay 600 cedis for some registration, and we are laughing about it. We are undermining the rule of law. We have to be seen to, because these issues cause pain to people's hearts in Ghana. Now, we have not recovered from that financial challenge of the 2018-2019, only to wake up to the double whammy of economic crisis in 2022 and the domestic debt exchange. So let me give you an example. Let's assume your family wealth was 1 million cedis. You gave 100,000 to Menzgold, hypothetical. You gave 250,000 to Goldfields, Black Shield,
Yeah.
Gold Coast. So that's 350,000. Then you put 650,000 in EDC and Data Bank. Based on the past 6 years, your Menzgold money is gone. Your Black Shield money may still have been impaired. The value of whatever money you have in dollar terms has gone down because the currency plummeted from August last year to end of the year. The amount you put in a legitimate going concern has been received a haircut. So your 1 million, probably you would have lost 90% of it through no fault of yours. Now, if a government sits down and people are issuing statements, you are telling us that we shouldn't trust in our financial institutions. And then couple all of this, the Bank of Ghana itself is now under the cosh because now they've made a loss, a book loss of 60 billion. They are building a $250 million building in the midst of an economic crisis. You are undermining our confidence in the institution. And the democracy will not function if institutions don't work, because a democracy is not voting. A democracy is predictable rules being applied fairly. That's why we don't want a military dictator, because a military dictator can say Nathan is my friend or Nathan came for my girlfriend, so I'll shoot him. Because that's what they do. But in a democracy, the law rules and the law must be applied fairly. And I'm saying that when you so the financial sector is kneeling. The finance minister is looking for money. And here you are with people who have mismanaged people's monies. And you are spending 4 years to give us an advice. What kind of advice is it? Do you need more lawyers? What is going on? So every week we send Hansen to the court. He will repeat the same story. An Accra High Court has speaking to the police. Like the story is like I don't even think he changes he doesn't even change I think he has a strap
template.
So he'll just go. So let's September 20 you go. And Accra High Court has again adjourned the case of the chief executive of Menzgold and NAM, Province 101. He's been out of court since July 19. ASP Superintendent Haliga. Same story. The AG can do better. Seriously. And the fact that it's not a daily news item again doesn't mean people are forgotten. The fact that now we are talking about other things doesn't mean we've forgotten the pain. A generation's confidence in financial institutions has been damaged forever. If you get 1 million cedis today, somebody sits there and says, "Efo, go and buy a land." Because a government can come and say this guy was not properly licensed, close their business, and then your money may be impaired. Then you can also have a haircut. So even now, risk analysts are revising their notes. They are now saying that the government, which was supposed to be the the subject of least risk, they are revising their notes. So it's not just a finance and economics issue; it's also a legal issue. And I'm urging the Aegis Department to do what has to be done. It is very, very, very shocking. And what is making the thing annoying is that every month the guy will issue another statement. And now Menzgold customers will now be reaching out to you guys. Like, I know people who still have not recovered from the Gold Coast. I have guys who used to work as bank executives, driving Uber in Accra here. And I'm not telling you reporters, I know it as a fact. People I know who were probably smarter than me in school, working in the bank, doing very well, lost their job in the midst of the financial crisis, and are now driving Uber to feed their family. We are not saying Uber driving is a bad work to do. And my show today is not to delve into the overall approach of government. But my point is that if the government believes the guy is supposed to be in trial, 36 adjournments does not show you are serious about what you are doing. Honestly, speaking as a non-lawyer, you can tidy that up for me. But seriously, either the guy is so powerful or he has some leverage Because there are people who have done less things who are already in jail. So why is the matter? Why is this taking so? What is it? What does he have? And it's not like he shows some remorse. Every week there's a statement telling people to do something else. Why? Like what kind of society are we trying to build where people, if the guy's case is not a good case, withdraw the case, reinstate him so he can run his business. Do you get me? If the guy hasn't done anything wrong and maybe you use public sentiment to get the guy, then it's okay. We were wrong. We withdraw the charge and we say, Mr. Namwan, here's your license. Go and run your gold thing. Then we all know that we were wrong. Then we move back. But you can't hold us in abeyance. Customers sit here today. You send your statement today. Pay 60 cedis. Do this. What's the meaning of that? This is not how serious governments are supposed to work. Honestly, we won't take this from you. It's unacceptable. No. So either you withdraw the matter and say, bro, here's go and regularize yourself and run your business. We are sorry. Or we believe you committed a wrong and we are going to make sure you pay people. Mm-hmm. We can't leave it hanging. We will not allow it to hang. No, we should not. All right-thinking people should not allow this matter to hang. Because this is what happens in Ghana. Once political parties don't pick on an issue because maybe they are focused on other issues, we all go to sleep on it. Because right now the NDC is on BOG. So we've all forgotten about this matter. It shouldn't be that way. It should not.
Okay, Bernard. Or Godfred.
Oh. You see, I don't have much to say on this because most of the things I would say will end up with me appearing before some court or something. So I will leave this Sky to address. I let me just say that I am with you on your feeling of lack of seriousness on the AG. And again, like I said, my thoughts on this based on, for instance, who represents Namwan. I mean, you can't choose somebody's lawyer for him, but he seems to have done a very good job of who his lawyer is. And the things that I want to work in my head around it, leading to the AG, like I said, if I put it out, I will get into trouble. The AG should do better. Like you said, 36 adjournments on 4 years. In 4 years. On a complaint filed by 16,000 people in a case that involves over 1.6 billion Ghana cedis that we know of at least. The sense of urgency in getting justice or the sense of urgency in seeing the case to a logical conclusion where there's closure where people know that he did right or he did wrong. So we move on, has not been there for a case of that magnitude. They should do better. I agree with you. I will end it there.
Okay, Bernard. I have listened to you closely and I feel every single of the pain that inspired your sermon this morning. Without mincing words, this government has been particularly irresponsible in how it has handled this Namwan matter. The issues surrounding how he was deported from outside this country, how that whole thing was managed, gave a certain impression that they were minded to preserve the image of the government as to secure re-election because it almost became a daily matter in the news. Customers of Menzgold were insisting that if this government did not make the effort to find the guy, arrest him, put him before court, and also ensure we get our money, second term was to be a pipe dream. So it would seem that every effort was made by the book, including diplomatic efforts as we understand, and the engagement of the international legal process to get him wherever he was, and to send him to Ghana to face trial. Of course, we saw initial pushback from some of the customers who were worried that, okay, if you prosecute this guy, is there a guarantee that we will get our money? So that pushback is also there. But then there is
So balancing between getting the money for the people and getting him to get justice.
Exactly.
But fine, go on.
But there was also, or there is also this group that took the view that, look, regardless of whether we get our money or not, the law of the land is that when you engage in an illegality or alleged illegality of this size, as to cause people to lose their money, as to cause people to lose their livelihood, as to cause people to lose their precious savings, things that they have worked for all their life, which you rightly said may have played a part in the whole crisis that we're dealing with in the banking sector till today.
Yeah.
You have got to pay the price. So the man was brought in, hurriedly sent to the court eventually, and prosecution started. If this government was actually minded by the pain that informed the loud noises we heard in Accra, legitimate noises that this guy should face the courts, it would have treated this matter with dispatch. The question you ask, which is a legitimate question, is what interests are driving the prosecution of this particular matter? Why is it that we have not seen the kind of dispatch that should have been attached to prosecuting this matter before the court? Why is that? Is it because some people have one interest or the other in this matter? That's a legitimate question. And then also you ask yourself, why is it that we are not seeing the judicial system cracking its whip on this prosecutorial delay, which seems to have, in a way, contributed to a certain public impression that the people who are to protect our interests are not serious about our interests?
Especially because in some previous cases, when some people attempt to delay the case,
Yes.
the judicial system will say, if the next time you don't come, we will proceed.
Exactly. Or we would dismiss the matter.
Yes.
We will strike out the matter
Yes.
because it is not making sense. It
Yes.
does not make judicial sense
Yes.
that a matter of this kind, the number of people who have lost money, the anger, the pain, the difficulty. In fact, Bernard, there have been times that we did programs here and people were complaining that they could not go take their children to school because they cannot pay the fees.
Yeah.
Of course, as you rightly stated, the Bank of Ghana and the SEC issued statements on this matter, warning people don't take your money there. There were customers of Menzgold who publicly came out,
And said
held press conference, said we should get out. Yes,
We even have the recordings.
exactly. People are entitled to
We have
make
some
their
recordings.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
People are entitled to make their own mistakes, which is fair. But the state is also entitled to protect the interests of people where people's alleged conduct led to losses which we cannot, justify in this country. So yes, the argument is made that, okay, because this man's activities were not regulated, you can't appoint, what do you call it?
Like a receiver.
Exactly.
It's
To
a-
go and,
it's
yeah,
true.
because
It's different.
yeah, it's a different matter.
And the BOG warned people.
Exactly.
Listen, fair
Exactly.
enough.
Exactly. But you see, you can use the judicial process, the legal process, to send the right message that, look, it will not be allowed in this country going forward.
Exactly.
The man is prosecuted criminally, and that does not stop civil action against him
If they so
to
choose.
recover all the losses that people have incurred.
Exactly.
So a state that is properly advised on its own obligations to citizens ought to have acted in a way that protects the interests of the citizens. And with the greatest respect to the people who have run the system thus far, they have failed their obligations to the good people of Ghana. And they must make that admission. And to think that, yes, we all say that the allegation is that Jachi Question has done something wrong. And so if the law says he should be prosecuted, so be it. They are doing that. But one thing that you point out, which is just and equitable in my view, is that this man was alleged to have committed his alleged wrong in 2020, right? Yes, it was in 2020 thereabout, or before the 2020 elections,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
We have been able to persuade a court of law that his matter has got to be heard every single working day. So that there will be swift determination judicially of the allegations against him or the accusations against him, so that we can make progress. Now, this has to do with someone allegedly misrepresenting the facts surrounding whether he is a Ghanaian or Canadian or both. Exactly. Now, with the greatest respect, I'm not saying that is a lesser crime.
But if you weigh it.
But if you weigh it on the scale of what, strictly speaking, is to drive prosecution of people, we call something, what is the public interest, right? The public interest test, when properly run by a person who is of possible intelligence
Or reasonable.
I dare to argue that the matter having to do with the losses incurred by the alleged illegal activities of NAM1 would weigh heavily when you compare the same to what Mr. Gachikwesin is supposed to have done. But let me say again, I am not saying that he's committed a lesser offense. The matter is before court, they are dealing with it. But if the government, using its prosecutorial discretion vested in the Attorney General under Article 88, is properly advised by its own mandate, this matter ought to have been determined long ago. In fact, this is a matter that you could have treated much more with this part compared to what you're doing in the Gachikwesin case. So it is a fair parallel you have drawn. And the fair criticisms you have directed at the government doesn't know what time it is. Unless, of course, there are interests that we are not aware of.
You bring the Siladapa case where you can even say it's comparable on money. This is one person's money is lost. It's almost like a private matter which then became a public criminal case where somebody says somebody stole my money from my house. And then the AG was minded to advise, because there are certain times the police can proceed without the AG's advice. AG had a time, a presence of mind to advise on how they should proceed with the Siladapa case involving the 6. And that matter doesn't affect more than 10 people. Right? And then this NAM1 case affects hundreds of thousands of people. So in terms of judicial, is the AG being economical in the judicial use of its own resources in terms of how it treats this advice? Now, I know every case is different. And we don't know, we can only speculate at this point as to why the matter is delaying. And I think that AG owes us an explanation. Maybe they should come and tell us the reasons why they've not been able to follow their advice. And then the judicial system, as you said, cannot let the AG hold it to ransom. Because if the AG's people are not coming with the advice, the justice system can proceed and say, well, we're going to proceed without you. So I am expecting a serious meet the press. Information Minister, please, we want to hear from the AG's department on this case.
Let me add, Bernard.
Yeah.
You see, you rightly stated the Cecilia Dapa matter. Again, let me underscore that we are not saying that Cecilia Dapa has done anything wrong.
Exactly.
Because all we know thus far are that they say they found some money in her house and she should answer for it. The matter, the special prosecutor is dealing with it, and a certain leg of it is in court because we're told that her money or money belonging to her and some other people, those monies have been stolen. But what was the interest of the Attorney General in this particular matter? I said here some time ago that the decision of the AG to go into this matter was problematic. Because, first of all, the special prosecutor had already taken the lead, was going into it. The police were also prosecuting the matter based on what facts had come to their attention. Of course, we do know that if you look at the provisions of the Article 88 of the Constitution, it is the Attorney General that reserves the right to prosecute these matters, criminal matters within the jurisdiction. And that some other people, if you look at additional legislations, institutions like the police service, the Ghana Immigration Service, a number of other institutions have been given a certain, if you like, space to prosecute matters for and on behalf of the
within their areas of operation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that if the police, unless there was something so peculiar about the matter, it was a common matter of theft.
Yeah. Which the police felt equipped enough to deal with.
But for some reason, we hear that there were certain machinations that were done as to compel the police to send a docket to them. Yes, subsequently we have seen the view of the Attorney General.
And that is not illegal, by the way.
No,
I'm just saying. But you are talking about the discretion now.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not raising.
No, but we can't use the word machination.
Yeah, you see, It is one thing the police deciding that, look,
we are going to
going
advice versus they
being told, strings being pulled behind the strings
I get your
as
context.
to get them to bring the docket so that the view of the Attorney General can be expressed. I'm saying that, you see, these things feed into a certain perception. To the extent that this thing concerned a powerful Minister of State, and to the extent that the Attorney General was seen to be going deeply into this matter, even when it could have decided that, look, let's leave the police to deal with this matter. That sent a certain signal. And when you weigh that against the apparent lack of appetite in bringing closure judicially to the matter involving NAM1, you raise all kinds of issues. And therefore, it would seem to me that there must be certain peculiar interests driving the apparent pussyfooting on the part of the government on this particular matter.
This guy has English words. Pussyfooting.
And it is not just the government, as in the executive arm of government. Parliament of the Republic of Ghana has also failed the people. Because how many thousands of people are we talking about? How much in investment has been lost allegedly as a result of the illegal activities of this gentleman? In other jurisdictions, this man would have been having a good time, not good time in the sense of good time, before Congress, answering questions as to how come he came to do, and people would have been held accountable. But for some reason, our parliament, after the initial discussions and interviews here and there, they have failed to take up this matter. Is it because they also have some interest? Is the question I'm asking.
Maybe their money also locked up.
They have to resolve these issues, and they have to be resolved within the shortest possible time. The pussyfooting has got to end, and we must show leadership to ensure that these matters are resolved. If the man is free, let the court free him. If he's guilty, let the court so decide. But at the end of the day, justice must be done, and the people who have lost resources must be able to recoup something on all of their investment. Thank you, brother.